Welcome, everybody. It's a Tuesday. And you know what that means? A Tuesday in November? It means Maction is back. Yeah. Matt, it's funny. MAC football, Mid America Conference, or as it's called in that region of the country, the little Big Ten, has, for whatever reason, caught the fancy of football fans who probably don't even know where half these teams, are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like nobody. Now, granted, Miami of Ohio at Ohio, I think you can kind of put that one together.
Right.
I'm not sure how many people. Well, if it wasn't for LeBron James, I'm not sure how many people would know where Akron is.
Mm-hmm.
UMass gets a little bit in the name. Those are all the four teams that are in action tonight. But yeah, no, the MAC conference is one that is it's become beloved, but I wonder just how beloved it actually is, and if it's not just something people use to kind of uh, get clicks and views.
Yeah, I think there's the I used to do Mid America Conference football, not a lot of it, but
Hmm.
a few games, and the colleges that are in there, like Kent State, and you just mentioned Miami of Ohio, and there's obviously Ohio University, and there's Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan. You know, um, they're all really nice campuses. With a very passionate fan base. And I think what happens when, if you're a football fan, a college football fan especially, you got Tuesday night, what am I going to watch? Am I going to watch live college football? Am I going to watch basketball? What am I going to watch? And, what has happened, and I think that ESPN found out over the years that it was something that people really enjoyed. And so they just thought, you know what? Um, we can do three, you know, uh, Mid America Conference games on
Hmm.
weeknights, and they'll play. Because there's no way in hell that you're going to talk in the SEC or the ACC or Big
No,
Ten or Big 12 into playing football on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. It's just not going to happen.
mhm. Yeah,
So there's
uh,
your content.
that's Tuesday is such a. I'm very curious if they have like now. I'm actually curious. I'm gonna go back and look. Like
Hmm.
they're playing on Tuesday. Did they play on Tuesday last week too?
No.
I kind of, I would kind of hope so. Honestly, they didn't. They played on Saturday,
Hmm.
so playing on now. Granted, Ohio last played on Saturday of 10:25.
Yeah.
So let's look at Miami of Ohio and see if they also last played on 10:25.
Yeah, usually they get a bye before they play this game.
Okay, good. I was about to say if they're shipping them from Saturday to Saturday,
No, no. Saturday to Tuesday, no.
Saturday to Tuesday, yeah, yeah. No, all the teams last played on
Hmm.
10:25, so they did get their buys before that.
Hmm.
I was very curious to see how the
How they
schedule
line it up.
worked. Yeah, because well, and then you turn it around, and next week you have Akron playing on Tuesday, and you have Ohio playing on Tuesday.
Hmm.
So yeah, they've done a pretty good job of spacing these out.
Hmm. So there's that whole situation, and people, it's they for the most part those games are exciting. They're mostly high scoring games. There's a lot of crazy that goes on. Um, not that I'm into it, but it gives the betting group plenty of fodder to do some fun thing, to do some fun betting.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But that being said, last night in earnest, um, college basketball season began, and there were
Yes.
some pretty darn good basketball games last night.
Yeah, there was the what's it called? Arizona and Florida played a really good basketball game.
Hmm.
Arizona ended up winning by 6. They
Hmm.
kind of traded back and forth there for the majority of that game,
Hmm.
and it's good to have some marquee matchups at the start of the season, just
Yeah.
because when the season starts, like you're coming fresh off of you're still in the midst of college football. You're in the dead middle of the NFL season.
Hmm.
Baseball has just wrapped up. The NHL is going. NBA is going.
Mm-hmm.
They need those. They need at least one high profile or higher profile ish matchup
Mm-hmm.
on these days when they're starting up. Because tonight they also have Texas and Duke playing in the Dick Vitale Invitational.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a lot of these. It's kind of like if you were to look at it in many ways, and it's not a bad idea. We all look at college bowl games, right, for football.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like college bowl games for basketball. You know, this gives you an opportunity for you get to travel. Florida and Arizona went out to Vegas to play, in that tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and they get the Vital tournament you're talking about tonight. They pick up a check, they get out of town, they have kind of a fun situation, and you're playing top name teams. I mean, it's all, these are marquee matchups, and this will go now through the holidays where you're going to be seeing a lot of these. Of course, we all know of the Hawaiian Classic. We know of the Alaskan tournament. Then there's the one down in the Bahamas, uh,
Mm-hmm.
at the Atlantis group, a couple in Vegas. So yeah, I mean, I think gives people an opportunity to see these, top 25 programs playing,
Yeah.
and it gives them, the top 25 programs, a quick opportunity to see just exactly where am I. Right? It's not like you're playing a bunch of D2 schools to get ready for the season.
No, no, you aren't. And that's good. I'm looking through there's some, I mean, they've got some random tournaments in here. They got
Mm-hmm.
the Empire Classic, the Champions Classic. Let's see, where's the other one? Jacksonville Hoops Showdown,
Mm-hmm.
the Hall of Fame series in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got the Baja Mar, which I think you already referenced.
Yeah,
The Bad Boy Mowers series is apparently
that's a
something
new
that
one for me. I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with that one.
Niagara and Duke play on November 21st, and under it says it's the Brotherhood Run. I don't know what that means.
Oh, that is a it's a cancer shoot. It's a fundraiser for cancer, and
Okay.
it's matched up with like a marathon.
Okay, because yeah, they play so Duke plays the first game of the Brotherhood Run
Mm-hmm.
at home on Friday the 21st, and then they'll play a second game of it against Howard on the
Mm-hmm.
23rd of November.
Right, and so you got HBC team playing, against Duke, and it's a fundraiser, for cancer, and it's actually it's one of the newer ones. That one I do know something about, and it's a good feel good kind of like opportunity for people to watch basketball and to see HBC teams playing against some of the most marquee brands in college basketball.
Yep. Yeah, at the end of November, you get the biggest tournament in the
Hmm.
well, it's the Players Era Festival and the Fort Myers Tip Off. There are those
Hmm.
two, and then at the start of December, you have the ACC SEC Challenge.
Right.
So right around the end of December, or right around the end of November into early December is really your
Mhm.
hot spot for college basketball.
Yeah,
Before,
the Fort Myers thing was relatively new.
yeah,
Um, and that one was brought about by Florida Gulf Coast.
hmm,
And when Florida Gulf Coast, basically that Florida Gulf Coast started that tournament, and you know it it's not hard to get northern teams to come down to Fort Myers to play basketball. Um, but what happened was, they brought them down, and Florida Gulf Coast beat them. And they're like, wait a minute, this is not, no, this is not what we signed up for. We didn't sign up to, come down here and lose to a team that nobody even knows what the hell they're all about. Um, so Florida Gulf Coast, used it to put themselves on the map, which was good for them. But
hmm,
now it's a tournament that has some star power to it, and it's a feel good situation. You get to, as I say, go on the road and get some beach time and enjoy competitions before we all know everything hits on in January.
yeah, Yeah, that's when they break for they do all this like non-conference and these different tournaments and stuff, and then
Mhm.
after Christmas, you just get tossed directly into conference play.
Right.
So
You're like, Merry Christmas. Here's your Christmas gift.
yeah,
Conference.
enjoy a small break. Here comes the gauntlet. So
Right. Good luck. See you in March. So yeah, that's going to be wild. Couple of things like coaching news. There's been a whole lot of chatter, which you were heavily involved in, with regard to the chaos that's going on at LSU.
mhm.
And there's literally fights from a standpoint of arguing um, about who really is going to help get involved. They called Shaq to help them get involved. He turned them down.
Yeah,
He said, I have no interest in it." Joe Burrows turned him down.
yeah,
They can't find an alumni who wants to be in any way, shape, or form. And when I say alumni, I'm talking about basically a name player from either the football team or the basketball team. Anybody, maybe they'll find a swimmer somewhere. But at this point, this I don't know how you could have screwed this up worse if you're LSU.
yeah. No, it's. I mean, they Jeff Landry has given them just so much hurt
Mm-hmm.
because I mean that probably is your driving factor and why these people have not wanted to get involved is because they know who's at the helm running this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for everything that athletes are, I think a lot of times that if they haven't made an outward public
Mm-hmm.
political statement, they definitely don't want to get political when it comes to their head coaching candidate because that's kind of what it is right now. It's politics down there in Louisiana. So I can't say I blame either Joe or Shaq for not
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be involved on that front because why would you want to be involved?
Mm-hmm.
You're walking into a room right now that has a bunch of non-football people.
Right.
It- like Shaq walking into the room and getting involved in a head coaching process. I mean, Shaq was a fantastic basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest to ever play the center position, if
Mm-hmm.
not the greatest. He doesn't know, he does not know his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to a head coaching search in football. Like, he's not going to do anything. He's going to attach a name to your head coaching search.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I mean, I think what they were looking for was was somebody who, with their star power name, would lend some credibility to it.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I exchanged texts with uh, a couple of high power athletic directors at different schools just to get their read on it. And they tell me that the word is out that there's not their ability to find an athletic director at this point is going to be really, really tough.
Yeah. Uh, as you would have expected. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that feels like your expectation level at this point for not only an athletic director for LSU but for a head coach as well. Like I think both of those problems are going to be problems for a while at LSU, which is crazy because it is like when that job opens up, the reaction is like, well, LSU is the best job on the market.
Right.
LSU is the best job on the market
Mm-hmm.
if it's ran by the correct people, but it's not being run by the correct people right
No.
now. I, talked about it with Auburn and the fact that they've really screwed up their last two head coaching searches
Mm-hmm.
because of all of the boosters that got involved and
Mm-hmm.
really had far too much say in the head coaching search and process. And
Mm-hmm.
same thing here is you've got a guy in Scott Woodward who has historically, yeah, I know his last two big hires haven't exactly been hits in Jimbo Fisher and Brian Kelly, but he's got a pretty good pedigree when it comes to being an athletic director,
Mm-hmm.
not only in football but in the other sports as well.
Sure.
And Jeff Landry just kicked him to the street because they had a difference of opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the guys I spoke to yesterday via text, as I said before, said that he predicted that if they don't straighten this thing out, and he goes, I have no idea how they're going to, but he said if they don't straighten it out, it's going to set LSU back a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that, and that
And
like
he
some
has no. And the interesting part about this is, I didn't mean to cut you off. The interesting part of it is he's got. I mean, he actually is someone who likes LSU,
Mhm.
and wants to see them succeed. He's in another conference, but he has no beef with them. But he said, you can't do this and expect to bring in somebody, and then what does you bring the athletic director in, and you're gonna. And what is he goes the first thing that an athletic, if you're interviewing for a job as an athletic director, the first thing you ask is how much involvement am I gonna get from the boosters and from from the president's office, and basically everybody that isn't in the athletic department,
Mhm.
because that's where things start to crush, is when people outside the athletic department start to get their hands in the athletic department and screw things up.
Yeah.
And he said, there's no way that anybody that can go and do an interview for that job can get a straight answer,
No.
because you can't possibly believe that anything they say is going to be fine. Because they could say tomorrow, you know what, you're going to have total autonomy. We'll protect you. So you're going to protect me from the governor of the state.
Mhm.
How's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, like who's in charge of LSU right now? They don't have a president. They don't have an athletic director. They don't have a head football coach. They've got other coaches, and they've got a board of regents that's been elected by Jeff Landry almost entirely at this
Right.
point. So, who's in charge? I'll tell you who's in charge is that board of regents, and who do they have to answer to? They have to answer to the governor right now.
Right.
There's no chain of command. The chain of command is board of regents, then governor. That's the chain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a situation that any coach with half a head would want to walk into. And oh yeah, on top of it, the guy who reps 90% of these people is already probably pissed off with the only person that can be in charge at LSU
Right.
right now.
You think Jimmy Sexton's going to walk in there and give him a coach? I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen.
Yeah, Jimmy Sexton might walk in there just to kind of flaunt it in their face. Just be like, "What do you guys want? Oh, no, you can't have that. Absolutely not."
Well, then you've got Jimmy Sexton and you got Jeff Foster out at CAA. Okay. They represent about 90% of the college coaches in the country, and about, last time I checked, around half of the NFL.
Yep.
So you're going to have to go through those guys to get somebody.
Yep.
And they
And
also represent athletic directors, and let's not forget, I know a lot of people sometimes do forget, the president of the university is incredibly important to this.
mhm.
Because if you don't have the ideal situation, if LSU were redoing this,
Yeah.
would be started with the president, then you hire the athletic director, and then you hire the coach. Okay. Right now, in theory, okay, in theory.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I just looked this up. I'm just going to cut in real quick.
Go
It
ahead.
said LSU does not have a president. As of 2 hours ago, they have named their new president. It is Wade Roos.
And he is.
I'm not exactly sure.
While you're looking that up, quick point, okay? The governor and the board of regents are the people who actually look for these guys. The president, the gentleman that they put in there, and I'm not disparaging him in any way. I have no idea who that man is, and he may be the greatest president on the planet.
Yep.
And for LSU, I hope he is. But the governor can put somebody in there.
Yeah. What's it called? So Wade Roos was the former president of McNeese State. That's where he was prior to getting the job as the president of LSU. James Dalton, who is the provost at the University of Alabama, and Robert Robbins, the former president of the University of Arizona.
Yeah, I know Rob. I know
Yeah.
Roberts. Yeah.
They were the other two finalists. The vote
What?
passed. Yeah.
They turned down Robbins. I mean, the Arizona guy.
The vote to hire Roos was 12-1.
Are
With
you kidding me?
the only Board of Supervisors member to vote against hiring him was Lori Lipsy Aronson. So,
Holy crap!
so James Dalton, the provost at the University of Alabama, who's also in the discussion, has been
Right.
named the executive vice president of LSU.
So they hired him as well, to the new guy's right hand man. Is that the deal?
Yeah. Yep.
Huh. Well, they would. Robbins would have taken that job, and then basically told everybody, "Go screw yourself,"
Yeah.
because he's not. He. Back when I was covering the potential of the Pac-12 to cannibalizing and killing themselves,
Mm-hmm.
he was one of them. He was very good. I mean, he actually did interviews with us,
Yeah.
and he was a very open guy, and very good about working with coaches and with the whole group. And I'm really surprised that they let a guy with that ability and that quality get away from him. Maybe they didn't want somebody who was outspoken to be in that job.
Mm-hmm. The hiring.
That's a step from McNeese State to LSU's head
Yeah, it is.
president.
Yeah, like that's a massive step. But I would wonder if him being the AD doesn't now mean that John Summerall might be your leader in the clubhouse to be the LSU head coach, because it seems like the movement, or at least what maybe Jeff Landry or people in Louisiana want,
Mm-hmm.
is they kind of want to keep things more Louisiana. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, currently he's the head coach at Tulane,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't be surprised if that was somebody who they went and were like, hey, like do you want this? Like, go out and actively offer it to him, seek him out instead of running a head coaching search, because who knows, maybe John Summerall likes LSU so much that he might be willing to take a little bit of a deal in order to get that job.
Well, he's on the list with Florida, um, and a couple of other places as well. But to your point, he might. I mean, he might. We still don't know who the AD is.
No,
So,
no, we don't.
so I guess when you're in a position that Summerall's in, right?
Mhm.
It's sometimes it's best to just wait,
Yeah,
and see how things shake out. The grass is not necessarily always greener.
yeah,
That Tulane gig right now is a pretty good gig.
it
Um,
is.
so if he just, and they've got a chance to make the playoffs. They still could win the American and get into the playoff. Um, so I think that and again, I'm not his advisor or his agent, but that I should look that up. Who's his agent? Um, it, it may not be a bad idea to just hang out and wait for another time, or if he really wanted to go to the SEC, I would think Auburn wouldn't have a problem looking at him. And as I said, Florida's already kicking the tires on them. So we'll see. But if he's really truly a Louisiana guy and thinks that LSU program would be, I think if he had that LSU program with an athletic director who he could trust, I don't think that would, he'd probably take that job in a second.
Yeah, it says that John Summerall's agent is Clint Dowdle.
Yeah.
Um, so it's now I see something that says Doug Schoen as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would take I've now seen where that says that, and that's a message board. So I would take the Clint Dowdle that Google gave me off top as probably who actually represents him.
Yeah. There's the message boards sometimes get it wrong. It's you know it's funny, as I said before, we'll have to see how this whole thing shakes out. But um, I I don't think anybody in the SEC at this point in time is is in any way, shape, or form upset with you know with the fact that there's chaos going on in Alabama.
No.
Clint, by the way, is an agent from Endeavor.
Okay.
Endeavor, for those of you who don't know, plays a very large role in college sports, from negotiating the team. They were the ones actually who found um, the uh, the new Big 12 commissioner last when they were looking from that standpoint, and it brought in a bunch of folks for that job, and so it's not that, I mean, they're used to high profile situations. So yeah, I think Clint is an Endeavor, but the thing with Endeavor is, they're very wired. So if his agent is from Endeavor, there's literally not a school in the country that Endeavor hasn't had at one point in time a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, just it just goes to show you that he was smart enough to hire a very good and very strong agent who's got who's got the chops behind him to get him where he wants to go, wherever that may be.
Yeah. I will say in terms of LSU, because you talked about it with John Summerall, is they do have the element of time.
Yeah.
Like things are a shit show right now.
Right.
I don't think there's any two ways about that one. But the hiring process doesn't start for, you're not going to have guys that are available to, like, seasons don't end for another month. You've got another month. If you can get an AD in there and actually field a search committee, you got a month to do it. But if you can do that, then all of a sudden everything just kind of steadies, and LSU's back to being the top job on the market. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I think that anybody in that building would probably be smart to recognize, like, hey, like we have a chance to right the ship here before it comes time to make a decision.
Right.
Are they going to? I think it's the big question.
Yeah. I'm just rolling through the trade rumor situation at this point. And most everything going down at the moment is just that, a rumor. Um, the Bills have contacted the Commanders about the availability of Deebo Samuels and Von Miller. So we'll see if the Commanders are in a selling mood from that. They just got Deebo this year, and Von Miller they signed last year to a contract. So it's not like the two of them have been on the team for a long time. So we'll see.
That, and you add in the fact that Von Miller, aging star, similar to Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's picked back up his production this year with Washington, but prior to this year with Washington, last 2 years for Deebo have been less than ideal out there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
I wonder if they aren't good to sell high on Deebo right now.
Well, if the deal is right, now would be the time, right? And I think Deebo in that Bills offense would be a big help. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, they can use him for a bunch of different things. Von Miller doesn't have a lot left in the tank, but that being said, the Buffalo Bills don't need somebody if they'll, they could. Von Miller they could swap him out from time to time. He wouldn't have to necessarily play. If he played 2 downs a set, that wouldn't be bad for them.
Yeah, that Von Miller would feel like a lot more of a depth move for Buffalo if they were to make
Yeah.
that move.
So it's he's 36 years old, and this is he's an edge rusher. I've seen him play his entire career. I wouldn't bet against him
Yeah,
from a standpoint of he's one of those guys, Matt, and we know them. We see them all the time. They're freaks. They're guys who train like you know they take their profession seriously. I think is probably the best way of putting it. And he does. I mean, he doesn't slack off anywhere. He shows up. He goes to practices. He's never been confused of being or accused of being bad in the clubhouse. This is a good guy. And would he help? He would help anybody who got him, depending upon how much pressure they want to put on him to be the defensive savior. I don't think that the Bills are gonna want to are concerned about that.
no, they're not.
Um, they can fit him in there, and he could help them out, and so could Debo. So we'll
Yeah,
see. If they could carve out a trade that would get them some more draft choices, which I'm sure is what they want, then good on them.
yeah. I mean, I think if you're Washington, you have pieces that aren't getting any younger
Right.
or on expiring deals. Why would you not offload those pieces
Sure.
now? Just because you get some value for something. Because I think everybody and their mother knows that you're not making a run with Marcus Mariota at quarterback.
No.
All due respect to Marcus Mariota, but
Yeah.
they weren't having a fantastic season when Jaden Daniels was healthy.
No.
I don't think that Marcus Mariota is just gonna, now that he's going to be cemented as the starter for, I would assume, the rest of the season,
Mm-hmm.
that he's just going to magically find some chemistry with this offense. So I think it'd be a smart move to sell off their pieces. I don't know if they would sell off their pieces. If it's
Mm-hmm.
up to Dan Quinn, they probably won't sell off their pieces because why not keep everybody in the game and let them play until the
Mm-hmm.
final whistle blows.
I think he would be more likely to keep Debo than he would Vaughn.
Yeah, Debo and Vaughn are different in the sense that obviously the positions they play. Debo's a little bit younger, and I think they have him under contract for more years.
They got 3 years on his contract.
Yeah, I think Vaughn's only 1 year, so that's more of a. I'd say for Washington, that's more of a. Do you think you're going to continue to get this type of production out of Debo Samuel for the next 2 years?
Right.
That feels like a gamble at best right now.
Right. The other thing is how much will the Bills give you?
Mm-hmm.
If you put together a package and said, look, we'll trade you both Debo and Vaughn, and we want X, Y, and Z for it, and the Bills, bite and say, cool, we'll take it, then it might be worth it. And I know that I don't know if I can't remember if we talked about it or not, but Dan Quinn did take responsibility for not taking Jaden out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Jaden and Debo that was their last series before they were going out. But to be fair, it could have happened, anytime during the game. It didn't have to, they were playing in garbage time, so that's what what people focus on. I mean, hell, if the Commanders were up by 38-7, they might have taken him out. So it is what it is, and you're right. Marcus Mariota is not going to lead Washington to the promised land, and that's a division with the Cowboys getting beat last night. I mean, Philadelphia only has to play 500 ball, and they'll win that division.
Mm-hmm.
So not a high bar to win in the East. There's a theoretically possible that the Giants could end up finishing second in that division.
Yeah, I mean it's not out of the realm of possibility. They've been playing solid ball. I don't know how the loss of Cam Scatterbo is going to affect them.
Oh, that's going to hurt. It's definitely going to hurt. But I don't think. I'm just saying, you're going to end up probably with three sub 500 teams.
Yeah, the Cowboys did get better today, though. They did get better.
Yeah.
Gave up a second this upcoming draft and a first in
Mhm.
2027 for Quinnen Williams. They also gave up their former first round pick, Mozzie Smith, who was an interior defensive lineman for Quinnen Williams.
Mhm.
And part of that Jets young defensive fire sale that they had today.
Right.
So they got better that way. I don't know if Quinnen Williams is enough to pull that defense completely together. I think part of their needs are on the back end of the
Mhm.
football. So there's that as well. But I think for the Cowboys, their offense is good enough. Their defense just has to step up some, and they'll
Mhm.
probably be able to make some stuff happen.
Yeah. I wouldn't, you know, I just I don't know. I don't think the Cowboys have got enough to make it. I mean, could they make it to the playoffs? Yeah, probably. But there's a lot of um, of teams that are in that mediocre area that you just don't know what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen? We saw what Minnesota could do. Is Minnesota going to go on a run? Is Detroit going to continue to do what they're doing? What's going to happen out west? You've got Seattle, who nobody's really paying attention to, but playing good ball. The 49ers, what's going on with them? The Rams aren't that bad. So there's a lot of teams in that, in a cluster just behind the Philadelphia Eagles who could end up in the playoffs, and the odd man out could very well easily be the Cowboys unless they go on a run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they definitely have to start stacking some wins together if they're gonna have the postseason in their sights. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
No,
especially with how much if that division does get worse, which kind of seems to be the direction we're leading in
right.
here with maybe the Eagles not playing their best football right now. Washington obviously suffering the loss of Jaden Daniels.
Right.
New York lost Cam Scatterboo. So
Mhm.
these teams that have lost people, and all of these teams also didn't make any additions today. The
Right.
Cowboys are the only ones in the East that made an addition. So you can say, well, the Cowboys got better today. Everybody else stayed the same. And so if they're able to beat up on Washington and New York down the stretch, I don't know how many times they played both of those teams.
Mhm.
If they're able to take advantage of those games as well, then there's a reasonable path for them to make it as
Yeah.
this team. But how much of a run are they going to go on? I don't know, and I can't guarantee because that
Yeah.
defense is still going to be an issue.
And they lost that game at home,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was, usually the Cowboys are really, nails at home, but they certainly didn't get that route this week.
Yeah.
Going to pivot just for a second to the battle between ESPN and YouTube TV, because nobody got to see Monday Night Football on ESPN last night. If you were a YouTube subscriber,
Mm-hmm.
and now, in what I believe to be a rather shameless situation, is they've got guys like Stephen A. Smith and some of the other folks coming on the air and basically, asking the subscribers to call, to go to a website which they basically put up about how bad YouTube TV is, and we need to get what we want out of it.
Yeah. I will say, and I know ESPN and Disney, they're a big corporation, and the number I'm about to throw out is pretty much pocket change for them. But a report came out today, said they're losing $5 million a day that they're not on YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe a significant amount of money for a company that not too long ago had to go through a massive wave of layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another gripe of ESPN. I do have access to YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously can't watch it on there. So I go to fire up my ESPN app. I log in and everything because it requires me to log in like every time. It's
Sure.
ridiculous. And and then I go to click on Monday Night Football, and it tells me the content isn't available for me. So I just turned it right off, went over to TNT, and watched Arizona and Florida play basketball.
Yeah.
ESPN can kick rocks for all I care.
I honestly didn't even care about the game. I watched the Gators in Arizona play basketball just like you did. I had no interest in watching the game. I was still on my World Series high, had no interest in what was going on. Couldn't have cared less about either of those two teams that played last night.
Yep.
So I figured, all right, look, I'm college basketball's here now. I'm gonna take advantage of watching some pretty decent, two decent teams play basketball.
Absolutely.
And for me, but I mean the under Marchand, who is with the Athletic, and he and I worked at the same time back at Sports Business Journal. Andrew said that that ESPN, excuse me, is asking for $15 a subscriber for their content on YouTube TV. That's way, way too much.
Yeah.
And I people forget YouTube is owned by Google, right? Which is owned by Alphabet. That's a $2 trillion company. Disney is a $600 million. I'm sorry, $600 billion company. I'm not good at math, but 2 trillion beats 600 billion when it comes to evaluation. And ESPN contribution to that is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple $100 million.
Yeah. It's not nothing. It's not $15
no.
subscription.
No, it's not. It's not. And by the way, I don't know if you checked, but I was told, and I don't have YouTube TV, so I can't confirm that the game was also on ABC. So some people actually didn't realize that it was on ABC and didn't watch it on their local channel. But I thought that Disney was involved in the whole thing. So if you're not getting Disney, meaning ESPN, you're also not getting ABC on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did not get ABC. It was not available for me.
All right, so then they were wrong on that, because it's always been, regardless, if you're battling with Disney, you're battling with Disney on everything. Okay, it's not just ESPN. It's ESPN. It's all of their side networks, and it's the mothership, of course, of the the umbrella of ABC. So it did surprise me when somebody said that, but I thought, well, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, because why would you fight with that whenever you're negotiating? And so basically people throughout the weekend didn't get to see any of the SEC stuff on YouTube TV.
Yeah. I mean, there was the one thing that I'll add on that I did not love in the whole, because you brought up all the people that they have going out there practically, they are almost sitting on the street begging for change, kind of a deal.
Right.
The way they've had these people trotted out. The one that rubbed me the wrong way was when Greg Sankey, he put out a tweet that said something along the lines of like, problem solved, and I saved some money too. And it was a picture of him signing up for the ESPN Plus Disney Hulu package or whatever. And it's like, man, it just feels all the more and shady, because SEC is now, part of ESPN. Like they're together on that deal. And when you have that, I did not like that at all.
Well, you would hope that the commissioner of the league would not go to a point where he's going to piss off a company that's $2 billion a year in annual revenue. Because there will be a time when that contract comes up, and there will be others that will make a run at it.
Yep.
And you don't want to turn off one of your potential suitors when that comes up.
No.
So, and again, to be honest, it's really kind of cheesy that he would do it.
Yeah.
You know, you would hope that he'd be above it, but $30 is $30. And I guess that he didn't mind doing it. I'm sure that Bob Iger probably was the one who called him up, or Jimmy Patiro, and said, "Look, we need everybody's help,
Yeah.
if possible, to do it." And so Greg did it, I guess. And hell,
Yeah.
it is. That's it's a little unseemly at this point, but these battles have been gone on for years, different
Mhm.
times, different. Most of the time, though, they get
Resolve
ironed
quickly.
out, just at the last minute. It's always one of these last minute situations where they go, "Okay, we're fine.
Mhm.
We'll make a deal, and everybody will be happy, and not to worry, and blah 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 blah." But
I I think the last one I remember was I think Sling TV and ESPN had one either last year or the year before.
uh-huh,
Been relatively recently, and like ESPN did the whole "keep my networks" thing, and
hmm,
they trotted out Scott Van Pelt to do their ad for the
right,
"keep my networks," and I think the way that one got resolved is like the week that it became an issue, the Saturday morning of football,
hmm,
they struck an agreement that morning,
hmm,
and nobody ended up losing anything. To be honest with you, I kind of thought that's what was going to happen with this YouTube TV one. But I think Sling TV is also much easier to make roll over if you're Disney than YouTube is.
well, yeah, Sling did something which I think is probably one of the smartest things I've ever seen. They let you, if you Sling of all of them is the most cost effective, if, for a lack of a better way of putting it. And the reason behind that is they don't have any local channels. The local channels usually cost you a lot of money because you have to you have to do deals with, you know, um, it's not ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox. A lot of it has to do with, who owns the local TV station in your town, right?
Yeah.
So you end up negotiating with as many as 5, 6, 8, 10 different people just to get the local TV stations in your neighborhood.
Hmm.
So what they decided to do is they basically said, screw that, we're not going that route. But what they did do in their deal with ESPN is you can get ESPN on there. Of course, it's a new tier that they've created. So they give you the option, but they also give you the option of one day. For $5, you can have whatever ESPN's doing for one day.
Yeah.
So you don't have to subscribe. You can just subscribe whenever a game comes up, or a series of games that come up that you want to watch on that particular day,
Yeah.
and it gives you some flexibility. So I thought that was a pretty smart deal on their part, and they did the same thing with Fox. So you can, and the irony is that you can get all of the Fox networks on Sling, except for Fox. So the only thing you're buying, if you want to buy on Fox, is you're buying whatever big um, the weekend game is,
Yeah.
the big
The
Saturday
big,
game,
the big
or if
Monday
you want to
Night
watch your local, if you want to watch the Falcons if they're on, then you have to buy. You can buy it that as well. So it goes that route, but it is, the thing with the guy from YouTube TV basically said, look, they want $15. I don't want to start to go. They don't want to go above the $100+ range for, when you start passing that on to customers, and you're pushing over 100, bucks, seriously over 100 bucks, you start to get into that area where people start looking around for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean that's how streaming really became what it is today. Is
Hmm.
everybody got tired of cable prices, and they
Right.
streaming was cheaper, and you could watch what you want when you
Hmm.
streamed when you wanted it. That's getting to no longer be the case.
Hmm.
Everybody made this switch under the guise of like we're going to save money and watch what we want to watch
Hmm.
when we want to watch it, And that's not the way it works anymore
Mhm.
for streaming and all these subscriptions, because you got to own all these different subscriptions. It ends up generally being more than cable, and you don't always get what you want either. Like,
Mhm.
because everything is now, before it felt like, I think when streaming really started with Netflix is it felt like you had a lot of stuff in one or two places. Like you could
Mhm.
subscribe to one, two, three, maybe four if you're really stretching it,
Mhm.
and get everything that you wanted or needed. That's no longer the case. Like you have to have, everybody's got a subscription service now, and you got to have eight, nine, 10 different subscriptions if you want to be able to watch everything that you want to watch. And so I think that the streaming companies, maybe not streaming companies in particular, but like ESPN may be overplaying their hand based on where things are headed. Like, is this their last ditch attempt to try and like have the public be in their favor because they know what's coming down the line and they're trying to get everything they can right now?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think that at this particular point in time, that people are tired of being, of being, ripped off or whatever you want to call it, exploited. However, I think that they're tired of it. The other part of the equation, and in it, inside TV aspect, is over the next 5, 6 years, I believe truly you're going to start seeing a lot of consolidation. You're going to see a lot of these people go together. You're going to see, like, you know um, the folks at HBO, and we see HBO now partnering with Disney for HBO, Disney Plus, and Hulu all together, right?
mhm.
You'll see Paramount, you'll see Peacock, you'll see all of them start to figure out, okay, you know what? If we put packages together, it's going to be better for us in the long run. And so I think that that's going to be the way it goes. Um, you know, it makes more sense to package your content, because the one thing that bothered me, and I couldn't quite get the understand why ESPN went to that $130 deal. That right now they're packaging themselves with Hulu and Disney Plus, but that's only for a year.
Mhm.
At the end of the year, they're going to sock you with $30 a month deal, and frankly, I'm not getting everything for $30.
No.
And as a baseball fan, you and I are baseball fans. ESPN doesn't even have baseball anymore.
No. No.
So what am I buying? I'm buying a bunch of college sports, which is okay. I like that, but and the NBA and some NFL stuff. But I can live without that. Definitely, I can live without at the price point of $30.
I thought this one was interesting in terms of a bundle partnership that is going on right now. ESPN Plus, or ESPN/ESPN Plus, and Fox One have a bundle together that is $40
Mm-hmm.
a month and provides you the unlimited access to the ESPN and the
Mm-hmm.
Fox One services. So that kind of gets you all of your sports, but still you're paying that, what you just pitched me there is, I'm
Mm-hmm.
paying $40 a month just to watch the sports that I want to watch.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing. And it's just sports. Like, you're not getting anything else out of those two deals.
Mm-hmm.
You're just getting sports. So if it's not a Saturday, a Sunday, or a Friday right now,
Mm-hmm.
then what good does that streaming package do to me? I'm paying $40 a month for 12 days of content, essentially.
Right. And you take a look at the NBA, right? The NBA is on every day,
Yeah.
and you don't need I mean, if yes, the title games are on, but I'll tell you, my trick is to leave some of these, you know, um, services for a few months, and then come back to them whenever the time comes that it's exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that what happens is you can shop for deals, right?
Yeah.
So I look for the deals. I look for right after Black Friday. You'll get a lot of them that will give you a year's deal that will cut it in half. So if you play your cards right and you kind of, look and play around with the deals, you can when you leave subscribing. I'll give you a quick, for instance, before we get out of here. Um, I was going to drop Peacock because there wasn't, I can get what I need from other sources, and it was $109 for the year. As I hit the click the button to say I'm leaving, before before I click the button to say I'm gone, right, to
Mm-hmm.
cancel, they offered me $39 for the entire year. So it went from 109 to 39 if I stayed.
Yeah. I think those companies charge those astronomically high prices
Mm-hmm.
because they think that people will pay them. And
Mm-hmm.
generally, when it comes down to like, okay, I'm gone,
Mm-hmm.
then it's almost like negotiating at a market.
Right.
Like I'll give you five. Well, I'm asking 10. Well, I'll give you six then.
Right.
How about nine? Like
Right.
the bartering back and forth, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get their best deal once if you actually leave or are about to leave, one of the
Mm-hmm.
two. So it's just a situation now that feels like there's not much that people themselves can do because it would take
Mm-hmm.
now you're asking an entire country to essentially unionize against streaming services, which is
Right.
impossible. So it's you have to think that there's going to come a point where the greed is going to get large enough that viewership will start to drop and you'll see a change in something.
I think that Paramount and certainly Universal, which is Comcast, that owns Peacock, it's basically how much money do we want to make, or how much money can we make without, you know, um, losing subscribers. You never want to
Mhm.
lose a subscriber if you can help it. Um, and I think, I mean, I had a ton of sports fans, you know, and I'm talking serious sports fans who told me flat out, if ESPN goes $30, forget it. I'm out. I am totally out. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't know about you. I I just when I watch ESPN, I just watch the game. I do not watch any of the tentpole programming around it. Could
Mm-mm.
care less. I don't care what's on in the morning. I don't care what's on in the afternoon. I don't care about any of it. I just want to watch the football game, basketball game, whatever it is. I don't care whether about Pat McAfee. I don't care about Stephen A. Smith. I don't care about any of these other people.
And
You know,
I I think that's what ESPN fails to realize is that no one really cares about their alternate programming outside
mhm,
of the actual games because
right.
all of their alternate programming can now be found. Like you can get better than ESPN in terms of like game breakdowns and
Mhm,
pre-games and stuff like that, and just talking about sports on your laptop. People
mhm,
doing it the same way that we're doing it right now.
right.
You can find a bunch of people online on your phone on your laptop that charge nothing. They post it to YouTube or they post it to whatever medium they so choose,
Mhm,
and it's better than what ESPN's giving you because what ESPN has done is they've turned into a purely clickbait company.
mhm,
Everything they have, there's no depth behind what they say. All of it's really basic information. Maybe you get some depth on NFL Live, and you can get like little snippets here and there. But like I think of game day now, and people complain about game day. I think of game day now as like a party, and they've chosen to celebrate college football in a different way, and that's fine. But in doing so, they've kind of lost some of their storytelling and actual football pieces of the show along the way.
yeah, and they haven't benefited. I mean, I don't know that it's as you say. It's become a party. It's become a happening. It's on there on your campus. It's a thing. Um, but frankly, even game day, I don't even care for anymore.
Yeah.
I think I told people about this, but check out CBS HQ. It's free, and they give you a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got good announcers and commentators and people who know the SEC. They know all the pro stuff. They're very. It's a very easy to watch, fun to watch thing. You can get it on your phone, get it on your television set, get it on a computer. Anywhere you are, you can get it. And they give you scores. They keep you updated on what's going on. They show highlights. I mean, it's everything that ESPN used to be in the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
Not
is.
people screaming at each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I really enjoyed watching Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman do First Take.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, I just did. So that's, what are we, 8 to 9 years from when I was a freshman in high school, somewhere. I think it's 9 years now since I was a freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But I still remember I would come home and like if I was watching on my phone or something, my mom would always say like why is that man always yelling? She's right. That's what Stephen A. Smith does. He just gets on TV and he yells.
Right.
So they do the segment with Chris Mad Dog Russo, and that's him and Stephen A. Smith is just noise at that point. And that's no knock on him, but it's two really loud people on television together. And man, if you walk past it and like you can't throw that on in a barbershop. You're gonna deafen everybody.
Yeah, before we get out of here, and we got to go here in a few minutes, real quick. But I've known Chris Russo since he was a disc jockey and then a sports talk show host in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
He went. I know he paid his dues because working with Francesa, I can assure you, is not fun. And Chris paid his dues. So anything whatever happens with Chris, I love him. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good on him. But I don't get where people feel that he knows what's going on anywhere outside of the tri-state area of New York.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's solid, but man, some of the stuff that I've just seen clips of him doing there, he's bringing up games from they're giving him like top 5 lists, and he's bringing up people from like 1940 on these lists, and we're like, okay, that's not like. Yes, it's important to acknowledge the historical, but nobody can. If you're watching ESPN, you don't know anything about the 1940s in the NFL or college football. That's not something that you know. So I think that may be something that misses.
Well, I think too, and I'll wrap it up with this. Oftentimes, the presidents of broadcast networks, because Chris and some of the New York guys are local guys that they either hear when they turn on their radio or watch when they turn on TV, become somebody that if they like them, well then gosh, everybody's going to like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a problem for Chris because, as I said, you want to ask me who to go to talk about the Knicks or the or the Rangers or the Yankees or the Mets or whatever, Jets, Giants. I'd say go to Chris Russo and he'll give you everything you want to know about him, and he knows everything. He knows the coaches, he knows everybody out there. He'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to tell you what's going on at University of Oklahoma, don't go to Chris Russo.
No,
he's not going to tell you. He doesn't know. So you don't and Stephen A. Is a Philly guy, tremendous writer, by the way, for many years in Philly. And I don't know that Stephen A. knows what's going on outside of he's very versed. He's very versed in basketball. That's his thing. His NBA credit, his credibility on there. He's not the number one guy in football, but he does know enough about the NFL. But beyond those two sports, I don't know. I don't know what's good. Those guys, and remember those guys own their own shows. So
Yeah.
ESPN isn't actually ESPN's buying those shows from Stephen A. and buying the shows from McAfee, and so they have no editorial say over them.
Yeah. I will say, in terms of Stephen A. Smith, the times I've heard him speak about things like golf and college football,
Mm-hmm.
I've been ready to put my head through a wall. You just don't know. And baseball too. All three of those, he's just not very well versed in them. Baseball, he probably knows a good bit about the Yankees, but outside of that, not much.
I will give Chris credit for knowing baseball.
Yeah,
Chris does know baseball,
he
and
does.
and and ironically, he is a San Francisco Giant fan, and he was born and bred in New York, and it happened because of his father, who was a New York Giants fan, and so his dad, when he was bringing Chris, when Chris is growing up, Chris grew up, with his father following the Giants. When the Giants went to San Francisco, his father, kept up to speed on what was going on with the Giants. So, I mean, Chris does know, baseball pretty well. I'm not gonna, not gonna give him any shade on that. I don't know what his football, both college and pro, not as much. But I give Chris credit for knowing baseball. He does do a good job on that.
Yeah.
So, give the Mad Dog his praise. All right. Matthew and I will be back tomorrow, and we will see what's going on. We got college hoops. Maybe we'll sneak in some college hoops chat tomorrow and see what's going on there. We'll get ready for some more Maction tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And, we'll be just a little bit away from Thursday night football. So we're getting there. Any final thoughts there, Matthew, before we get out?
Yes. Tonight we bid farewell to the AP poll for the remainder of the college football season.
Oh, I forgot. That's true.
It is the inaugural CFP rankings for this year. So they will, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some surprises in terms of the rankings. I would imagine that people probably aren't going to be they're never thrilled with rankings at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not very upset with the rankings that come out tonight.
Real quick one. Does Indiana stay at number 2?
I think Indiana jumps Ohio State.
You think? Oh, that'd be interesting. They played a better schedule.
They've played a better schedule, and I feel like they've beaten opponents a little bit more emphatically than Ohio State has. So that's part of the reason. Ohio State doesn't have a win that can go up against that win at Oregon. Yeah. And I think that's probably what's going to be the clincher there and moving them to the number 1 spot. And that will anger a lot of Ohio State people if that does happen.
In the entire state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, I don't think that their governor, Mike DeWine, is going to get involved in this.
No. I'd say he's probably going to sit out.
He'll let this one go. All right, Matthew, have a great day. And, you just hit on something that we certainly could talk about tomorrow. Because you're right, there's going to be some people not real pleased about it. So there never is. But that's the fun part. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day. It's been fun. And Matthew and I will be back tomorrow. Have a lovely day.